Hello there. Welcome to this quick battle. I'm playing as the Greenskins against these short, angry, bearded fellows. Now, playing quick battles recently, I've been trying out some more crazy stuff just for a bit of fun, just being a bit silly with some crazy ideas and seeing how they come off, rather than playing super serious. So that's what we're going to attempt in this one, a bit of a crazy plan. We'll see if it works. Now, I've got a pretty spread out army, as you can see. I've got stuff all over the place. And the enemy army is quite large, which is quite intimidating to my plan, but let's have a look at what I got. So this is my main little party I've got coming here. Of course, we need a lot of armor piercing versus the Dwarfs. So I got 1 unit of Blackhawks, 2 units of Blackhawks, so lots of armor piercing crunching power from them. I've also got the Crimson Killers back here, a unit that definitely doesn't get enough love in multiplayer because it can be hard to use, mostly because they get focused down. And 1 unit of Stone Trolls as well because they're just very powerful right now. So that's the main part, the main core of my army with all the armor piercing power. And I've also got a Night Goblin Shaman mixed in here too, for reasons we will reveal in a moment. So that's my main little party that is going to look to do most of the damage. Then I've got 4 units of regular Orc Boar Boys, nothing too special. These are good armor piercing damage though. My Lord is Grom, someone I've never actually used in a multiplayer battle before. I've never really tried him out, so this is going to be my first proper use of him, to be honest. Mostly just because I opt for other Lords instead as my usual go-tos. And Vanguard deployed on one side. I got 1 unit on the right, Night Goblins, and then 2 units on the left. Again, just regular old Night Goblins just to come up behind the Dwarfs, because there's likely going to be artillery and missiles at the back of the Dwarf army, so those are always good for sneaking up on them. Also got the Magi Marauders, armor-piercing missiles, good against Dwarfs, and also some Forest Goblin Spider Riders, mostly just for some extra mobile missiles, and they got the poison as well, which will be a little bit useful. Now, my enemy's army is very, very large. Honestly, I was like, oh, scheisse, this is a pretty big army, and it's got some tough stuff in it. It's got some great weapon Dwarf Warriors, some regular Dwarf Warriors, got some Miners with blasting charges, those can be pretty bad for infantry. Also got some more blasting charges. There's 2 units of Thunderers in there, so these could be a problem. These are armor-piercing missiles. They're going to hit us pretty hard if we let them. And 2 units of Quarrelers as well, so less deadly, but still a lot of ranged, 4 units of ranged. So that could be a problem for me, but no more of a problem than the 4 units of Slayers that he has sitting down the back. So he's pretty much got 1 unit of Slayers for every unit of Orc Boar Cav I have. So that's pretty bad for me. He's got all the ingredients, really, to take me down. The Thunderers can take out my Blackhawks and my Trolls. The Slayers can take the Cav and the Trolls. His Lord is Grombrindle, who is, of course, a tough cookie. So he's going to be a problem as well. So, yes, potentially a tough build to deal with here. But we're going to try out our slightly crazy plan and see how it comes off. So the plan is to use this little group of armor-piercing death and hide it all with this little fella. He's got a spell that can hide all of these units. You can see me bringing the units in a little bit closer here because I can't quite get them all with the spell where they currently are. So I bring them in and I'm going to try and hide them, and they won't be visible until about 20 meters in front of the enemy. So basically right on top of them. They're not going to know that they're coming from these trees, although he might have a clue because there's only so many places my army can come from. But for the most part, he won't see them and he won't know exactly what's coming. So I'm going to drop it off. I've overcast it so it lasts 82 seconds, nearly a minute and a half. These units have Stalk and are unspottable. So that's upgraded Night Shroud. That's the plan. Invisible Black Orcs and Stone Trolls. See if we can sneak up on them. So the only thing he can see at this point is all my Cav, my Boar Boys. I'm moving them up a little bit just to show him something. Being careful not to get too close to these ranged units. You can see the edge of their firing arcs there. So I want to stay out of that for now. But maybe he thinks I'm doing a Gobbo army, which all have Stalk, so he can't see them. And, well, he'd be half right. I've got 2 units over here preparing, and my other unit sneaking up here, getting into position. So I want to try and attack everything together all at the same time to give him loads to think about. My power party's coming in from this side, my flanking units are Night Gobbos, and then my Cav is all going to come forward as well. Try and hit preferably those missile units, and my Skirmish Cav will just come in to harass as well. So I'm looking to hit him from all angles, give him lots to think about. You can see all my Trolls and Black Orcs are still hidden, and he won't be able to see them until they're about maybe here in front of his army. So he's going to have very little time to react, and that is what I'm relying on. That sneaky ambush of Black Orcs and Trolls, which obviously makes no sense. Bring around my Skirmish Cav, firing off a few shots. I want to try and shoot the Slayers up a little bit, try and damage them as much as we can. Now, this is kind of an advantage that I'm all on one side because I'm taking on just one side of his army rather than coming out right in front of them, because then I'll probably be spread too thin. So this is kind of working in my favor. I'm just going to kind of munch on one end of his army and then hopefully work my way through it. But at this point, I think I've been revealed to him. He knows I'm coming now. We're not hidden anymore. So here comes the big party. He's got those blasting charges, which we've got to be a little bit careful of. I tried to dodge them here with my Black Orcs a touch. Maybe works a little bit. He only does a little bit of damage, so no big deal. Bringing in the Night Goblins from behind. Going to start moving the Cav up as well. Here we go. It's time for the big plan to come forward. Starting to crump these Dwarf Warriors. They shouldn't take too long to get through. On the other side, it's more Dwarf Warriors. So we've got a nice easy start for these Blackhawks. My Trolls are coming in, mashing up these Miners. I need to get them on the missiles though. I don't want them firing on me too much. That's what these Night Goblins are hopefully going to come and do. That's who I've aimed them for. Also need to try and tie up those Thunderers. They're pretty dangerous. Maybe get on some of the Slayers as well with the Night Goblins, just so we can weaken them, as that is a good target for them with their non-armor piercing damage. And we're bringing in those Boar Charges on the front line. Going to hit those armor piercing Dwarf Warriors. Did alright to them. Not sure what I was doing here. I think I was trying to sneak around to get after the Thunderers. These ones I forgot for a second. Getting some fire on these Slayers. Going to try to get into them. So because the Slayers don't have armor, the Goblins can hopefully put some damage on them. My other Goblins and my Cav trying to get after those Thunderers. I don't want them firing on me. He nearly got me with some Slayers here. We got out there just in the nick of time though. So I'm pretty much performing the typical remedies for Dwarfs. Disrupt their missiles, hit them with armor piercing damage. That's it. That's all you need to do. So we're hitting them heavy with the Blackhawks, my Trolls, trying to get these Quarrelers, my other Blackhawk unit, trying to flank these around the side. Try not to blob up too much. Don't want to take any fire from anything. There's no big spells to worry about, obviously, with the Dwarfs. He sent his Slayers over to fight my Blackhawks, though. I'm not sure that was his best move. They will probably put up some damage on my Blackhawks and my Crimson Killers, but obviously they don't have armor piercing, so they don't really go through them too well. He might have been better pushing after the Boars a bit more with the Slayers, trying to take away my mobility advantage. Bringing out the War now as well. Extra damage, going to crunch through all of these boys. Going to hit a rear charge here. And this is why I love the Greenskins. This is what it's all about. Just bring in a big hard front line to hit them heavy, and then bring in loads of Boars around the flank and just messing everybody up. It ain't going to be pretty, but that's how we do it. Trying to jump on some of the isolated units here. Broken one of the Thunderers. Need to push on to get the other one. Bringing one of my Gobbos back to help just tie up some of this infantry so it can't run around so freely. Bringing my Trolls back in away from those Quarrelers. I figured they could probably be used better elsewhere. Need to make the best use of those Trolls as much as I can. Grombrindle dropping a flash bomb, but that's not too big of a deal. I bring out this Cav to try and get after those Quarrelers to replace what the Trolls were doing, but this unit happened to run in the way and does manage to save those Quarrelers, as he is going to start shooting them, so he got lucky there. Got rid of some Quarrelers over here though. Got my Skirmish Cav onto them. Stuck them in melee, took on that isolated Quarreler unit, and they managed to take him down nice. Got Grom and an okay unit of Boars here, coming in for a nice rear charge. Gonna try and hit what we can. Those unfortunate Boar boys got stuck. I could have microed them around, but I didn't catch it. Bringing in Grom and the Boars here. I need to start trying to get some damage on Grombrindle. And apparently I'm not going to charge these just yet. Gonna set them up first, I guess. Bringing in my Trolls to get rid of these Thunderers. So they still got one healthy unit of Thunderers that I need to try to get rid of. The other one's fairly beaten up. They've broken my Gobbos here. That's no big loss. Just pinning down what we can. Trying to deal with this important stuff. I need to start really trying to kill Grombrindle because he's one of the last threats of this army. We've beaten down a lot of it. Those Thunderers as well we need to finish off, and then we'll be laughing. Trying to get some cycle charging with these Boar boys perhaps. But my Stone Trolls over here, they turn into a pretty big blunder on my part. They start to get wavered. They were beating down the Thunderers, but they were getting shot by the other Thunderers, and now some Slayers and things have come over. I noticed and I tried to get them out of there, but it was a little bit too late. So yeah, I left them isolated, and they're paying the price for it. I should have sent some Night Goblins back over, or brought Grom over to help support them, just to disrupt those other Thunderers, and they probably would have been fine. So they're going to get routed. I'm going to lose those, or at least I think I have. I think they're going to route straight off the map, but they're actually going to run in a different direction. My Blackhawks, though, here, getting around the flank, sandwiching what's left of this little bunch of Dwarf infantry. There is one unit of Longbeards here, probably helping the leadership of all these units around, apart from the Slayers, of course, because they're unbreakable. But they are a little bit of a problem, so I've got to try and get them dead as quick as possible. We've got everything else fairly spread out, though. Getting some damage on these. I'm bringing up my Boars now. Here's the Gobbos that I should have brought up 5 minutes ago to try and help these Trolls. But again, I make another derp here because I expected the Trolls to just run straight off the map. But they actually continue being chased by Slayers for a while. And if I'd noticed this, I probably, most definitely, could have saved them. All I needed to do was get these Slayers off their backs because they're keeping up with them. And I could have used this Skirmish Cav to do that. I could have sent them into melee just to tie up all those Slayers and to stop them chasing the Trolls, and the Trolls would have likely returned and kind of gathered themselves and been usable again. They wouldn't have routed off the map because they got a long way to go. They got plenty of time, but I didn't catch it quite in time. As I say, I didn't check because honestly I was expecting the Trolls to just go off here and just go straight off the map pretty early and me have no chance to save them, but they actually had a big chance to save them, but I noticed it too late and I didn't quite get the save in time. You can see here I go. Now I'm going to try and save them. I think maybe I could save them before they go off the edge of the map. Their leadership might recover, but unfortunately they will be going off. So a pretty big loss for me there. A pretty big blunder. One of my Blackhawks is broken. The Crimson Killer's still going strong, though. One of my Blackhawks is lined up like this for some reason. I definitely didn't tell them to do that, but whatever. Grom harassing these Quarrelers that are trying to come back. Grom's been doing okay. He did take a bit of damage fighting Grombrindle. He obviously hits pretty hard, but we did manage to get a decent bit of damage on Grombrindle. Trying to hit a Vindictive Glare there on Grom as well. Upgraded. It's not the best spell against armor, but it's pretty cheap in terms of magic cost, so I can just spam it at those lords if I don't want to try and fight them in melee, because obviously dwarf lords can be a bit of a problem. Going to bring this stuff back though. Forget about those slayers for now. Routing off these last two units. Just trying to mop up what I can. The Thunderers, though, have returned. Both the units are back in the fight, and these are pretty dangerous for me. Those armor-piercing missiles, they're a big worry when you're low on leadership like we are now. My Blackhawks and my Crimson Killers just finishing off what's left of the Slayers. They're getting bombed a little bit by these miners with blasting charges. My Gobbos here, going to disrupt them a little. I do actually have my Shaman in here as well. I've resorted to throwing my crappy little Shaman into melee. That's how desperate things are getting. Because with one false move, this could all go wrong. Grom's coming back. Still got to try and work down Grombrindle though. He's a tough bastard. And if I let those Thunderers fire on me too much, they could really change things here. I've got a unit of Boars. I don't think I noticed these. I think these are completely wasted. They've got 1200 health. They could really be useful to me right now. But they were just off the map and I didn't quite catch them. So you can see even experienced players make derpy, silly mistakes sometimes. It's part of the game. So don't feel bad if you're making them as well. If you're a new player, you will make less and less mistakes as you get better. Got Grom tied up with my Blackhawks here though, but here's the danger. This could be the turning point if I let this continue. These two units of Thunderers are now firing on my pile of Blackhawks that are all surrounding Grombrindle. So this is perfect for his Thunderers. In goes Grom there as well. But this is what you want if you've got some armor-piercing missiles, a nice crowd to fire into. So I realized this, and I desperately try to scramble everything I can to get after these Thunderers. I'm going to bring all this cav up, this infantry. I'm going to start to move Grom up there as well. I cannot let those keep firing on my Blackhawks because they will rout them, and then that could be pretty bad for me, and they may rout everything else that tries to come after them. These skirmish cavs are pretty low on health. I've just lost my caster. My Crimson Killers are starting to waver. They've broken now. Grombrindle holding on. Only 400 health. We've nearly got him done. He's bringing in some other infantry, though, to flank us. See, great weapons. But now we're getting on them, getting on these Thunderers. He has his units on skirmish as well, which I think has hurt him a lot in this battle because they've kind of run off all over the place. The Blackhawks wavering, though. But then his units start to waver. The rest of his army starts to go, and it's white flags all around, except for Grombrindle and those Slayers. And to my surprise, that he actually concedes defeat here. I thought maybe he would hang on because Grombrindle's still got a tiny bit of health and he's still got some Slayers. Maybe they might come back and turn it around. You never know, but he decided to call this one a day. But good game to my opponent. It was a close one all the same, but my crazy plan of hidden Blackhawks and Trolls just about came off. It could have been much better. I could have had a much easier time with this if I didn't lose my Trolls. But Grom did some good work, some good disrupting. My Blackhawks, of course, 1400, 1700 for the Crimson Killers, and 1600 for my other Blackhawks. So they did the work. They were the ones that needed to carry the army. My Stone Trolls did a little bit, nearly 800. Not too bad, but obviously they could have got a lot more if I didn't lose them. I could have definitely used them at the end of that battle. My Boars were never going to do a ton, but they did a little bit of damage here and there. My Menji Marauders, actually, 900 for those. That's pretty good. Those armor-piercing missiles, they only cost like 600 or so. My Night Goblins doing a little bit of work as well. Not too shabby for their cost. So got some good value out of most of our stuff. And for the Dwarfs Grom versus Grom, he did some good work. 2,000, obviously taking on my Blackhawks. Got a little bit of work out of everybody. Nothing too spectacular from anyone, but good damage all across the board. The Slayers doing some work, but probably not really enough for their price. And then, so yeah, damage very spread out throughout his army. Everything did a little bit of work, but nothing really outstanding. But there we go. A fun little build that allowed me to make some good use of Blackhawks and the Crimson Killers. Because of that Shroud, normally they get focused down by artillery and missiles, so it was nice to be able to use them, and that Shroud seemed to be the key. But there we go. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. See you in the future.